Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. A few years ago, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, there were four fighters around the sort of flyweight to bantamweight division. There was Chocolatito Gonzalez, Estrada, Sorung Vasai, and a guy called Carlos Cuadras, who is still fighting. They're all still fighting, aren't they? Now, you may know Cuadras as a former WBC super flyweight champ. He made 7 defenses of that belt. And that was going back a bit. We've got to be honest here. He did fight one Francisco Estrada and got stopped in the 11th, I think, of a 12th round fight. Gave him hell. That was in 2020. And then in 2022, he had a little break, and his following fight was against Jesse Rodriguez. And it was for the vacant WBC super flyweight title, and he lost a unanimous decision. In fact, he was over on the canvas in round 3, and this was Bam Rodriguez's coming out party, because I think he was only about 21 at the time. He became the first fighter to win a world title who was born in the 21st century. And he looked great doing it against a tough veteran. Like I say, that was 3.5 years ago, maybe pushing 3.5 years ago. After that, he came back and he strung together 5 wins against sort of lesser opponents. And he fought. He went into this fight in Japan against a fighter called Tomoya Tsuboi. I think it's Tsuboi, something like that. I can't even pronounce his name. But bear this in mind: this former world champion, even though he's 37, he's Mexican, orthodox fighter. He came into this fight with 44 wins, 28 KOs, 5 defeats, and he'd only ever been stopped once, and that was by Estrada. He's got a draw on his record as well. And he fought Tomoya Tsuboi, 29 years old, orthodox fighter from Japan. He fought him in Japan. And the record that Tsuboi brought to the party was 2 wins with 1 KO, no draws and no defeats. So you had a guy who'd only had 2 professional fights taking on a veteran who had 50 professional fights, a former world champ, 7 defences. All right, he's 37. Who would you have put your money on to win this? Well, if you'd have put it on the veteran, the guy with all that experience, all those KOs, rather than the Japanese kid with only 2 professional fights, you'd have lost. Because Tomoya Tsuboi, I'm sure I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but he actually stopped Carlos Cuadras in the 8th round of a fight. And I have rarely seen a kid, well, he's not a kid because he's 29, but I've rarely seen a fighter with only 2 professional fights look so poised, so confident, so skilled, so experienced and mature. 2 professional fights, and he puts on an amazing performance against a tough guy. Cuadras only ever stopped once before. And yes, he's 37 now. He's seen better days. Estrada stopped him in 2020. Bam beat him in 2022, etc., etc. That was his last defeat to Bam. I wouldn't say he was outclassed. He was just that this Tomoya, this young Japanese kid, it was quite astonishing to watch someone with that little experience box with such authority against such an experienced and high-level veteran. Now, Cuadras came out, clearly with some sort of ambition. He was doing what he normally does. He's a sort of box fighter, orthodox stance. And he was going at the Japanese kid, Tomoya. He was going at him, trying to box his way in. When he got close, letting his hands go. But Tomoya, for all his inexperience, didn't bat an eyelid. He just, boxed quite well. I think, possibly Cuadras won the first round. But the Japanese kid, he weren't fast. This was a 10-rounder, by the way, not a 12-rounder. He was like, yeah, whatever, And as gradually, I think within probably by about the 3rd round, this kid, he was beginning to really sort of punch with great authority, thread his punches together nicely, catch Cuadras an awful lot, and have the sort of final say in the exchanges. And it was, I watched this fight, I didn't see it live because I was at work. I watched it on I guess some guy in the audience had a cam pointing at the ring. It was a good view, but of course there were no replays, and it was purely from one angle. Good quality, cam job, but no replays. And gradually, from maybe the end of the second round, certainly by the third round, Tomoya was quite simply outboxing Cuadras and began to bust him up. And his variety of punching, hooks to the body, lovely jab, combinations. When he thought he'd sort of got Cuadras' attention, he didn't relinquish the initiative. He was going in strong, letting his hands go, stamping his authority on every round, and gradually the rounds were ticking past. And Cuadras, God bless him, I mean, he wasn't rolling over. He was trying to fight back, letting his own combinations go. He didn't go into a shell, and they certainly weren't, don't hit me punches. But Tomoya, again, a guy with 2 professional fights, putting on this type of mature performance, he gradually sort of, and whacking to the body so fantastically well and all. He was really quite a revelation in this fight. And he gradually beat up Cuadras, gradually, bit by bit. It was like he was wearing him down. Cuadras very gamely hanging in there and fighting back. But right at the end of the 8th round, Tomoya just let his hands go, pushed Cuadras back, wasn't going to relinquish the initiative. He had stung him in previous rounds, like wobbled him, shaken him in previous rounds, including the 8th, just before he stopped him. And it was, the referee stepped in and stopped it. Some people would say, well, it was maybe a little bit premature. I don't know. Cuadras didn't complain. But this was right at the death of the 8th round. There was about 2 seconds left. The ref jumps in and stops it. And at the risk of sounding repetitive, for a guy with 2 professional fights to put up that type of performance against a tough veteran, a former world champ who made 7 defences, 50 fights on his ledger, not a shot fighter either, past his best certainly, but not shot, Cuadras. For this guy to stop Cuadras in 8 rounds, it was a revelation. It really was. So keep your eye on Tomoya Tsuboi, Tsuboi. How would you pronounce that? Tusboi. Tsuboi? Keep your eye on him. He's a super flyweight. He is a threat. He's only a little guy, like a lot of these Japanese lads, 5'3", I think 5'4", with the short reach, but such good skills. He's so well schooled. I don't know about his amateur career. He must have had a successful amateur career, because for him to put on this type of performance was really quite stunning. So if you can see this fight, go and have a look at it. I found it on YouTube, and there isn't any commentary, which means you're just judging for yourself, which is good. I like that sometimes. But go and have a look and tell me what you think of this kid. And yes, thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel, because you're helping us out and you're generous. You're a generous person. Takes a second, costs you nothing. Hit the subscribe button as well. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me what you think. I'm looking forward to reading your comments, and I will catch you later. And bye for now.